I mean, I am very dedicated to my students. I mean, I'm only successful if my students are successful. I mean, that's the mindset. I talk to my faculty about that all the time, that we are only successful if our students are successful. And I know that we give our students a really good education, a great education, and really prepare them well for being pharmacists. But if the jobs aren't out there, that doesn't help. So healthcare has a unique position, even in poor economies, because again, it's a necessity. It's not a luxury item. I can't. I can choose whether I go to a restaurant for dinner or not, or make it at home. I mean, those are my choices. And when I don't have spendable income, extra income, I eat at home, or I don't go to a movie, or I don't. But healthcare, we just don't have that choice. And, one of the advantages of healthcare is that we are somewhat protected. I mean, no matter what the economy, you're still going to have so many people with hypertension, hypercholesteremia, and the diabetes, and it doesn't change. The economy's not going to change illness, and so there has to be health care being provided. It does make it tougher, and I know that with the economy not healthy, it's harder to pay for those resources, but they're still going to need the health care. But specifically, how is it affecting pharmacy, and am I concerned about pharmacy jobs in the future? I'm a little hesitant, but not. I'm still pretty positive about the outlook of pharmacy. One of the things, again, there's two particular areas. If you look at the number of prescriptions being dispensed each year, it's still on a pretty sharp incline. It's not quite double digits, but it's still on a pretty healthy incline. So the total number of prescriptions out there are increasing every year, and so we need more people that are going to be dispensing them. And God bless the baby boomers, and I am one. But our first, largest group of people ever born, from 1946 to 1964. They were the post-World War II baby boom. The baby boomers, first of all, they're a really unique group. Baby boomers want to live forever. I mean, we want a long, healthy life. We want a long life, but we want to have a long, active life. Before baby boomers, there weren't health clubs and exercise facilities and things like that. I mean, that was a mandate from the baby boomers. And so the baby boomers are set on growing old, but growing old well, and so they'll do whatever it takes to do that. They'll do the exercise. They're going to take their medications when they have chronic illnesses. They're a good group. And the key about them is that, so you have this highest number of people ever born, and those first baby boomers are just turning 65. So those born in 1946 are just turning 65 now. 65 is kind of a magic age in pharmacy. So when you look at the number of chronic prescriptions from chronic illnesses before 65 versus over 65, there's a significant increase. You almost double the number of chronic medications that you're on statistically before 65 versus over 65. So you have the largest group of people ever getting ready to double their number of prescriptions. So again, I don't see a decline in the number of prescriptions. I only see it getting worse. The total number of prescriptions being dispensed every year are going to go up. There is a downside. I mean, the downside is that the profession of pharmacy has responded to the need for pharmacists. When I think back to especially the 90s, I mean, there was a severe shortage. I mean, there really was a significant shortage of pharmacists in the country, and every employer was sitting there going, they didn't know how they were going to be able to man the needs that they saw coming. And we responded, And we've opened quite a few pharmacy schools. So, I don't know the exact numbers. I have looked at just the Northeast, and I think over by the year probably about 2020, 2015 to 2020, we'll have increased the production of graduates by over 30% just in the Northeast area. Now, and again, I believe that to be consistent across the other states also and other areas also. So we do have an increased production, and so how that all plays out, I'll have to wait and see. I'm not terribly concerned about it, but that is the downside. There is a downside to it. I mean, the job market's going to be healthy, the number of prescriptions being dispensed is going to be healthy, and we'll have to see how our overproduction might play into that. I also, and I spend a fair amount of time talking with the employers, especially from the chains, the big chains who employ a significant percentage of our pharmacy graduates. I also talk with our local hospitals, and chains are easier because they affect the whole nation, but. And we've had a little bit of a slump in the employment. I mean, it hasn't been bad yet, and in fact, all of our graduates have been able to find jobs. But there has been a little bit of a decline in the number of positions available. A lot of that came from the lack of people retiring. With the economy, with the stock market the way it is, like me too, they weren't in a position to retire. They wanted to retire, but weren't in a position to retire, so they didn't retire. So that didn't make jobs available. Had the economy been robust or the stock market robust, they would have been able to retire, and there would have been more jobs available. So eventually, those will play out. But one of the positive notes is, and I'm starting to see it now, thankfully, we've been talking about this for years in pharmacy, is expanding the role of the pharmacist. And in a lot of settings, we've been able to see that, especially in the hospital setting, we've been able to expand the role of the pharmacist in the care of patients in a hospital setting. It's been slower in that community setting, in the retail setting, but I'm starting to see it. And Walgreens recently they really have developed a patient-centered approach for pharmacists in a number of their stores. So I'm starting to see that become more common. And so by increasing that role, it'll take more pharmacists to accomplish this. So and I know Walgreens has a business model that will support that. And so again, that will. I truly believe that that's going to accommodate the pharmacists we're producing. So there's a long answer to that question.